'Cause I'm TNT, I'm dynamite, TNT, bro. JDM has to change his walkout song from here on out. He cannot walk out to that song ever again. Massive, massive aura loss for JDM. Fuck. It wasn't even competitive. I picked Prates. I knew he was going to win. I knew it was like a predator versus prey matchup. It wasn't 50-50, but I thought JDM was going to land some like more shots than what he did. The only noticeable shots he landed was that uppercut in round 2 and like one good hook to the body, and that was it. It was a fucking execution. It was legalized murder. Carlos Prates is a demon. I didn't know Prates was that good. We know he was good. I didn't know he was that good. Now, it's not completely over for JDM. Let me just say this, okay? JDM is never going to be champion ever again. And dare I say, he's probably never even going to get another title shot ever again. Even though he's 29 years old, he's still young. He still has time to make a comeback if he so chooses to. But I just think at this point, he's completely demoralized himself. And I don't know if he's got that hunger in him anymore. Because now that he's realized that at the top of the division, there are these elite guys, whether it's in the grappling department like Islam or in the striking department like CP. Those elite guys are going to fuck him up. But he can still be a good gatekeeper at welterweight. These are all the matchups that need to happen after UFC Perth, which happened this morning. We're going to start with the demon himself, Carlos Prates. John Jones is no longer the demon. Carlos Prates is the new demon of this sport. Masterclass performance. It was sad, to be honest. It was sad. Like, when they were squaring up before the announcements happened, I was like, oh shit, we're going to have a fucking war. We're going to have a fight. I was so excited, dude. And then, no. It was just completely one-sided. It wasn't competitive at all. But who should Prates fight next? It's tricky because welterweight right now, they have to do Islam versus Ian. Ian Gary did beat CP. But I hear people talking about that Carlos needs to fight Morales. I'm not interested in Morales just yet. Yes, that is an exciting fight in the future, but now Morales and CP are two title contenders. They don't need to be fighting. They don't need to waste each other. You know, I don't want to see that. I want to see CP versus the winner of Islam and Gary. That's the one to make. I'm kind of hoping that Ian beats Islam only because I'm more interested in CP rematching Ian than I am seeing Islam get another free title defense, because Islam would get the single leg. He would trip Prates and he would destroy him on the ground. He would. There is no denying that. JDM took him down and was laying on top of him. But lucky for Carlos, there was only like 15 seconds left in the first round. And they go the second one. And then JDM took him down again, and he tried to get a rear naked choke, but Prates shoved him off, and JDM slipped off his back. No, let's hope that Ian beats Islam Makhachev, and let's hope that the UFC don't do an immediate rematch, because in that case, if they give Islam an immediate rematch if Ian beats him, then they would have to do Prates versus Morales at that point. But no, I saw that Prates, he was on crutches, and he had an ice pack taped to his leg because of those leg kicks. Yes, Prates did. We can only imagine the kind of damage that JDM had on his fucking calf. So Prates needs to heal. He needs to recuperate. He should not be fighting Morales anytime soon. I want to see a 5-month resting period for Prates. In the next 5 months, Islam and Gary would be concluded, and then he can start preparing for the winner of that one. I don't want to see Morales just yet. I don't. Morales should fight Kamaru Usman. Okay? That's the one to keep Morales in check, waiting so that Morales isn't inactive. But I want to see CP get the next title shot after Ian Gary. He's earned it. Ian Gary beat Prates, and then he beat Bilal, and that was it. A boring fight with Bilal. Prates, in the meantime, after he lost to Gary, sent Jeff Neal to the Shadow Realm, sent Leon Edwards to the Shadow Realm, and completely dismantled and embarrassed JDM in his home city and his home country. Fucking demon. Disgusting. Let's talk about JDM, though. He had a terrible dogshit performance. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not sugarcoating things for you. I can't sugarcoat things for you, because then Tai Tuivasa would eat it. He had an awful performance. Could not close the distance. Did not even try. Was not even throwing many shots to the body and then coming in with overhands. I didn't see many overhands from his point of view. But I mean, realistically, it's just such a hard feat to beat a guy like Prates when it comes to striking. Gary could do it because he could mix it up, and Gary also had height and reach and length with him, so he could negate that. But JDM doesn't have those genetics. And it's also the leg kicks. He gets destroyed by the leg kicks by two different fighters that are the complete polar opposites of each other. That's very bad news for the future. Because anytime he's going to be fighting again, whoever his opponent is just going to throw those calf kicks. But JDM, he needs to have a long break, long layoff, heal himself, get into a right state of mind. He's completely in the trenches right now, battling all sorts of mental health issues. How can you not? You're obviously doubting yourself at this point. Do not walk out to that fucking music ever again. You need to have a rebrand. And it's so sad too, because when he beat Bilal, there is this consensus that, oh my God, yes, we have an exciting champion again at welterweight. He's bringing violence back to the welterweight division after we've suffered from Leon Edwards and Bilal for like the past 3.5 years. Dude, this guy's going to be a champion for so long. He's going to beat everybody. He's so gritty and bloody. Yes, this is what we want. He's so violent. And just like that, it just switches up. This is such a ruthless fucking division. But I want to see him be a good gatekeeper. And I think he will be a decent gatekeeper. There's still plenty of fights that he wins. Okay? Don't get it twisted. We don't know how good Uros Medic is just yet. Everybody's hyping up on Uros Medic on the hype train just because he schlumped out Jeff Neal like that. Hold your horses, okay? I don't want to see JDM versus Uros Medic just yet. But I'm thinking, who else is ranked on the come up? Who else needs to be thrown into the deep end of the pool? Because that's kind of what happened with JDM. When he beat Burns, he was thrown into the deep end of the pool and got a title shot with Bilal because of all the shenanigans that was happening with, Shavkat getting injured and all that. He got thrown in the deep end. At the time, it was a blessing, but in the end, it was a curse. I want to see JDM versus Mikey Malott, eh? It's Mike Malott. Mikey, dude. Stylistically, who knows what the fuck would happen? I mean, I would still pick JDM, but Mike Malott, you can say what you want. He's got good genetics. Mike Malott's got good genetics, but he can get chinned. He can get chinned. I want to see it. And you can do it as a main event. And fuck it, you can do it in Australia again. It's not like the Aussies have completely forebode him. Probably don't do it in Perth. They don't need to be doing it in Perth. Do it in like some other city. Sydney, Adelaide. Where's some other Aussie cities? Some big city. Brisbane. One of those places. Or they can do it in Canada. They're always doing Canada cards. And that would be a good Canada card for once. JDM versus Mikey Malott. It's down back to the gutters. But to be honest, JDM, yeah, he was on a long win streak and he beat a washed up Burns. But for him to get that title shot, beating Bilal, he didn't beat a super elite, high quality, high caliber fighter at that point. He didn't beat a guy like Shavkat. He didn't beat a guy like Prates. And that's what happens when you don't beat those guys as you're climbing your way up to a title shot. You get exposed. And that's why you have guys like MMA Guru and Bedtime MMA are completely shocked that JDM would lose. You know why they're shocked? They have Anglo bias. Right? It's obvious why Bedtime has the bias. He's Aussie, right? But MMA Guru, English, he's an Anglo. They want their fellow Anglo boys to win. I get that. Everybody has bias. But I'm not going to say that JDM was never that good. He's obviously good. He beat Bilal. But he wasn't going to beat these guys ever. He wasn't going to beat Prates. He wasn't going to beat Islam. He wouldn't beat Michael Morales either. I'm going to say that right now. I think Morales runs through him. I think Ian Gary beats him too. I think Ian Gary styles on him and beats him on points. So he's got to fight Mike Malott now. Mikey! It's Mikey Malati, eh? We move on to Quillen Werner Salkild. Dude, he's collecting all the fucking minority infinity stones. He's got an Indian stone, a Jew stone, a Muslim stone. Now he's got a Persian stone. What other stones are left? He needs a black stone. Black stones are very rare at 155. Bobby Green isn't moving up to the rankings anytime soon. Michael Johnson just got schlumped out by S.S. Dober, who Jalen Turner just came back and beat Barbosa. He's not in the rankings. They're not going to do that one anytime soon. So black stones are very rare at 155. He won't get a black stone in his Infinity Gauntlet anytime soon. What other stones are available? Brazilian stones, South American stones. Yeah, he could get one of those. But what about Pacific Islander stones? The Pacific Islander stone is quite an exquisite cut of gem, right? And I'm thinking, are there any Pacific Islanders at 155? Yes, there is. Max Holloway. Have you ever thought about this matchup? Until now? No, you haven't. Until I brought it up. Could you imagine this? This would be good. This would be good, especially after Max got bullied by Oliveira in that last fight. I think Max would like this matchup. And they could do it in Hawaii. I don't think they've had an event in Hawaii ever, or maybe they have a long time ago. I think they had one event in Hawaii. Do it in Hawaii, please. In a main event fight night, like the fight night that we just had. There can be good fight nights like this. Quillen Salkild destroys Benny Boy Dariush in the first round, as everybody predicted was going to happen. Defends the takedowns quite well. He's good at getting back up on his feet, just like he did against Yanal Ashmouz, and now he's doing it with Benny Boy. That's a good sign. Benny Boy beat Gamrot in the grappling. And you can see that Salkild likes to mix it up too. He goes for his own grappling sometimes. He faked it out with Beneil, and then he went back up with the striking. But I would like to see this matchup. I really, really would. And it's time to throw Quillen Salkild to the deep end, into the Sharks. It's time. He beats his first ranked fighter, passes the test with flying colors. Now it's time to face up Max Holloway. There's other matchups for Quillen Salkild as well. But the fights that are available don't make sense. I don't want to see Quillen Salkild versus Oliveira, I don't want to see that. I want to see him versus Max Holloway. Max Holloway is just coming off a loss. It makes sense. Striker versus striker. Holloway's got the speed. He's got the output. But Quillen Salkild also has speed. He also has output. And he's a well-rounded fighter. It would be a good main event. 5 rounds. Book it, Hunter. Book it, Dana. We move on to Brando Pericic. I guess I'll stop doubting Brando Pericic. He hasn't had many professional fights, but he is a 6'5", big Balkan fucker, and he's not in terrible shape. He's not super fat and plotty. He does have some little flab. He has a tiny muffin top, but nothing egregious. Nothing akin to Gaziev or Tybura or Sutherland or any of these other my 600-pound life patients. I was looking at heavyweight, fucking, what's his name? Sergey Spivak. That's always a name that people bring up. Spivak's like an all-right gatekeeper. Spivak looked really good against Elijah, though. He looked the best he's ever looked against Elijah. Looked very fast, actually. And Elijah's also Croatian, similar to Perisic. Both guys are Croatian. I don't want to see a second Croatian lose to Spivak. And I know this isn't the best matchmaking, but it's heavyweight. There's not much option, so I put Curtis Blades. Came off a loss with Josh Hokett recently. He let Josh Hokett get into his head. Curtis Blades should have beat Josh Hokett if he didn't let him get into his head. He beat Rizvan Kuniev. I think Rizvan Kuniev is good. I think Rizvan Kuniev could probably beat a Brando Perisic, you know? And Rizvan Kuniev is now fighting Tyrell Fortune, apparently. Terrible matchmaking, but what can you do? Perisic versus Blades. I'm not going to say that it's a test for Perisic. Blades ain't all that at this point. It's a winnable fight for Perisic. It's just that they need new guys to climb the rankings at heavyweight. And if he beats Blades, he'll be up there in the top 10. And then they can give him some bigger fights, like the loser of Waldo versus Volkov, or the loser of Pavlovich versus Teixeira. You know what I mean? So it's just a stepping stone for him. 3-fight win streak in the UFC. Not against the best opponents. Let's be honest. Elisha Ellison, terrible. Louis Sutherland, dog shit. And now Gaziev. At least Gaziev was ranked. But what can you do? I don't think Perisic is championship caliber. But we'll just have to wait and see. Exciting prospect. We move on to a massive disgrace. A disgusting abomination that should have been cut after the Tybura fight. Tai Tuivasa gets the dunce cap. A disgusting, terrible performance. Shame on me. Not shame on him. Shame on me for picking this disgrace. I picked Tai Tuivasa because I believed Louis Sutherland was a terrible type of fighter akin to Greg Hardy or Augusto Sakai. You know, guys that Tai Tuivasa has beaten in the past. And I thought, okay, we're going to get a shoey in Australia. It's bound to happen. And it's like, no, you can't even beat him. You're losing top position and getting reversed by this fat fucking pig, Louis Sutherland. And he just does nothing. It's a disgrace. Obviously, he needs to be cut from the sport. But there's a blank space next to the versus symbol, right? So what would be there? The fat fuck needs to lose weight. He needs to go on Ozempic. Either that or go to BKFC. Go to BKFC. He'll probably have success there. He could probably beat Andrei Arlovsky at BKFC. Just stand in the middle of the ring. Start swinging and banging. You don't have to worry about takedowns at BKFC. You can beat a 46-year-old Andrei Arlovsky, right? He can do that. He already beat Arlovsky before, a long-ass time ago, actually, by decision. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to see him ever again. He should have been cut a long-ass time ago, and it's just like, it's because he's likable. It's because he does the shoeies. It's because they put him on these Aussie cards. But ever since Cyril gone, the caliber of opponents that he's been losing to have just gotten worse and worse and worse. Like after Tybura, it should have been a wrap. But no, they put him against Teixeira in one of the worst fights I've ever seen of all time. After Teixeira, you'd think they'd cut him, and then you find out, wait, they're putting him on this card and he's fighting Sean Sharaf. Sean Sharaf, like the worst heavyweight on the entire roster. Sean Sharaf pulls out, he's got a fractured nose. Louis Sutherland steps in. Louis Sutherland waddles out of the pig pen, steps into the cage. Okay, I think Sutherland is terrible. I think Tuivasa could beat Sutherland. Nope, he loses to Louis. There's nobody worse than Louis that they could put up against Tai. It's actually over. This guy was this close to fighting John Jones for undisputed if he had landed some more shots with urgency against Cyril Gane after the knockdown. What a fucking sport. What a dog shit division. But what can you do? Get on that Ozempic. I hate seeing him at this point. I don't want to see him ever again. I hate looking at that disgusting belly button tattoo and this sweaty, disgusting pig of a man go into that octagon and have just dog shit after dog shit performances. But I'm more mad at myself for picking him. We move on to Marwan Rahiki. I get mad thinking about Taito Ivasa. Freaky Rahiki gets it done against Oli Schmid. He's not going to make it that far. I keep saying that. But, he's entertaining. He's putting on these good knockouts. And because he's not going to make it that far, I'm thinking of putting a matchup against him. Somebody else that's not going to make it that far. Young Glass Cannon versus Young Glass Cannon. Speed versus speed. It makes sense. Tommy McMillan. Do this fight right now. You might be asking yourself, no, they need to save this fight because both these guys are good prospects. They're not good prospects. They're not going to make it that far at featherweight. Any Topuria variant nukes both of these guys badly. Barbosa destroys them. Larry and Douglas destroys them. Vallejos destroys them. Gene Silva destroys them. And even guys that aren't Topuria variants style up on them. Melky Costa fucks both of these guys on the same night. And Melky's not part of the LGBT community. Do this fight right now, immediately, and I'm telling you right now, do this fight for a big UFC numbered event, like International Fight Week. Do this fight for International Fight Week, main card opener. Oh, it would make sense. Fireworks immediately in round 1. Somebody's getting knocked the fuck out. It's not going to round 2, that's for sure. I want to see this shit. Clay Guida type of vibes, They're going to be swinging. They're going to be blocking shots with their head. It needs to happen. We move on to Steve Carell Erceg. Good performance. Beats Tim Elliott, but it's a 40-year-old Tim Elliott. Back in the win column at flyweight. He'll probably climb the rankings by 2 points, maybe. Do him against Loner Kavanaugh. Loner Kavanaugh climbed the rankings by beating Moreno, big time. But a lot of the top guys at flyweight have fights coming up. Charles Johnson's got a fight with Almabayev, I think. There's rumors that Cap and Horiguchi are happening. Or maybe they're not rumors. I think that fight actually got confirmed. Cap and Horiguchi are fighting. Loner Kavanaugh doesn't have anybody to fight at the moment. Obviously, the co-main event next week is happening. Championship fight. Do Erceg versus Kavanaugh in the meantime. Not really hyped up for flyweight. We move on to the last disgrace. Louis Swine Sutherland beats Taito Ivasa. I'm still never picking him. I don't care that you beat Taito Ivasa. You didn't really beat him. You just laid on top of him. I don't care. Who should he fight next, though? Mick Piggy Porky Parkin. We got Swine Sutherland versus Mickey Piggy Parkin. Who's the biggest bore in all of England, yeah? Who's going to get in that swine pen and put on a big blob fest between these two fucking piggies? I mean, we haven't seen Mick Parkin fight in a long time. I think his last fight was against Tybura like a year and a half ago. They're going to have another card in England again, in London, or Manchester, or wherever. Just book it in the fucking prelims or something. See who's the big fat piggy. Who's the better, stronger piggy? Is it Louis or Mickey? That's the fight to make. Louis, he saved himself from getting cut at this point. But you know what? You know how bullshit the UFC is? They're probably going to cut Louis, and they're probably going to keep Ty. They cut Martin Buday. I keep bringing that shit up. They cut Martin Buday when he was 7-1 in the UFC. And they kept Taito Ivasa. How terrible. Let me know if you agree with some of these matchups. I think they make complete sense. I know some people will disagree and say that Prates should fight Morales. That's a fight that I want to see. Just not yet. I don't want them to waste 2 title contenders like that off the bat. Morales can fight Usman in the meantime. you know. So that's all I got for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. These fights need to happen. I'll catch you in the next one. I gotta formulate my picks for 328. That's gonna be a good card. Peace out, motherfuckers.